is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, authorities are struggling as the Philippine National Police hotline is flooded with misinformation about Pastor ACQ. This follows the Department of the Interior and Local Government's announcement of a 10 million peso bounty for anyone who can provide information on the good pastor's whereabouts. In the other news, former NTF-ELCAC officials are urging Congress to take action against France Castro after a court ruled that she is guilty of child abuse. And US President Joe Biden admits his bullseye comment against Donald Trump was a mistake amid speculations that his words have something to do with the assassination attempt against former US President. I'm Frederico Velloso. Newsline World starts now. First in the news, the PNP is now struggling to verify the information it has received regarding the whereabouts of Pastor ACQ and 4 other accused individuals after the DILG publicized a 10 million peso reward money for anyone who can provide their location. Paul Montebon reports.
Now let us hear
The Philippine National Police is struggling to face a major challenge after the Department of Interior and Local Government announced the multi-million peso reward for anyone who can provide information on the whereabouts of Pastor ACQ. The PNP hotline is almost flooded due to the sheer volume of information they are receiving, with many claiming to know the good pastor's whereabouts. Most of the information are either incorrect or needs to be validated to ensure that the supposed tipsters are not just making false claims.
Marami po kaming information na dumadetect po sa amin. Ang inabol ko lang, we need to sort it out kasi baka mali-mali naman yung ano eh. Kami kasi nagsusumbong ngayon eh. When the SILG announced sa may reward, ay nagpatong-patong na ng information. Ang hirap kasi kung na-overload kami. Ano ba yung kung talagang tunay o hindi? Kasi minsan, these people baka lalo na makasira.
To recall, the PNP and Benhur Abalos of the DILG boasted about the support of private individuals for Pastor Apollo's capture. Despite the statements issued by the KOJC legal team, Abalos maintains that there was nothing wrong with their actions.
Baka nakulangan lang siguro ng research po si Secretary Abalos. Kung mabasa natin yung Section 7D ng Republic Act 6713, swak na swak talaga siya. Because whatever may be your intention, it may be motivated by good faith or whatever, you cannot accept private donations in order to make the life of another person miserable, even if it is supposedly for a legal purpose.
It is noticeable that the PNP has repeatedly blundered their attempts to apprehend Pastor Apollo. Was it not illegal for armed police officers to attack the religious compounds of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ in Davao City and Sarangani Province on the 10th of June, even without a search warrant? The violent armed authorities also damaged properties and harmed defenseless church missionaries. And what was the result? Severe trauma and anxiety suffered by children and the elderly. What's even worse, 2 members of the Blaan community died following the severe fear and trauma they experienced in the violent attack. And now, Abalos' irresponsible acceptance of the supposed donations from private individuals he calls friends. The 10 million pesos were donated to be used as bounty for the capture of Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy. Recently, the police also lied when they denied arresting Pauline Canada, a co-accused of Pastor Apollo. The police's mistake, however, was evident as Canada's abduction was caught on video, so they couldn't deny it. All of this is clearly part of continuous harassment and oppression against Pastor Apollo and the Kingdom of Jesus Christ. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, reporting Paul Montebon, SMNI News.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives should not allow convicted child abuser ACT Teachers Representative France Castro to remain in her position as a legislator. This challenge comes from former officials of the NTF-ELCAC to the Speaker of the House. Ina Mortel reports.
Good morning po, Doc Lorraine.
The Legal Cooperation Cluster of the National Task Force on Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-ELCAC, is currently studying the possibility of filing a complaint with the Ethics Committee of the House following the guilty verdict against ACT Teachers Representative France Castro. On Monday, the Tagum Regional Trial Court branched to release the verdict against Castro, along with former Bayan Muna Party List Representative Satur Ocampo and 11 others for violating Section 10A of Republic Act No. 7610, or the Special Protection of Children Against Abuse, Exploitation, and Discrimination Act. The case stemmed from an incident in Talaingod, Davao del Norte, where Castro and Ocampo's group transported 14 minors who were all indigenous youth students from a salubungan school. According to Attorney James Clifford Santos, spokesperson of the Legal Cooperation Cluster of ELCAC, this could be a basis for urging the House to take action against Castro.
Under the law, no, the House of Representatives, meron silang internal rules and procedure kasi dito, can discipline its own members.
This action, according to former spokesperson on IP concerns of ELCAC and now national coordinator of the IPRA Center, Attorney Marlon Busantog, is the right thing to do.
Mag-file sa Ethics Committee ng Congress,
Yes.
using the decision kasi ACT teachers supposedly represent the welfare of the children, but your sitting representative or congressman was convicted, no? Not only accused but convicted of violating the principles of best interest of the child. Ibig sabihin, they had willingly and maliciously put the lives of the children in danger.
Busantog also cited the action taken by the House against expelled Congressman Arnie Teves for his prolonged absence amid the cases he was facing in the country.
Kung si Teves was removed from the role of the House of Representatives because of absenteeism and failure to obey yung nasa travel orders niya, ilaban mo to sa kaso ng convicted na sitting member na nag-abuso not only 1 or 2 or 3 but 14 children, not only children but lumad children.
Dr. Lorraine Badoy also issued a warning regarding Castro and leftist Congress members while calling the Speaker of the House to protect the lower house.
They're going to use Congress. They're going to use the Speaker of the House, diba? Sila yung isasalang. They're going to besmirch the reputation and use the Speaker and the House of Representatives for their own benefit, diba? So if the Speaker is listening now, no, this is really your call. No, you have to protect the House of which you head.
According to Busantog, the actions of the Speaker of the House will determine their true character.
Okay.
Kung si Speaker sided with the abusers of children, convicted child abusers, maybe that is the same feather that he is wearing.
Meanwhile, Badoy called on the Filipino people to raise their awareness and unite against communist terrorist groups.
But you have to empower yourself because, like it or not, who placed them there in Congress? It's a Filipino people. Diba? So tayo din ang pwedeng magbawi niyan.
For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Ina Mortel, SMNA News.
Several years have passed since the closure of the Salapuan schools in Talaingod, Davao del Norte, established by the communist terrorist group CPP and PNDF. Now, the indigenous people's community has an appeal to the Marcos administration. Here's the report from Hannah Jane Sancho.
The indigenous community of Talaingod wants nothing more than to ensure that their children have the opportunity to complete their education. But with parents believed to be education turned out to be a recruitment ground for the communist terrorist group CPP and PANDF, where their innocent young minds were indoctrinated with wrong ideologies. For the indigenous community in Talaingod, Davao del Norte, having a school in their community is a significant blessing, especially since many of them either did not finish school or never had a chance to attend elementary school. When the Salugpungan school arrived in their community, they thought it would be the path to the long-desired education.
Sadya na ako nga nasilip yun nga ang Salugpungan suportado gid sa Partido Komunista. Diyan na ginahinay ang mga masa po nga murag na luya ba? Na luya na ka. Dili na ka penetrate silang mga bata. Kaya gusto ko sila magpa-eskwela. Ang pangandoy sa mga ginikanan nga moabot sa kolehiyo ang ilang mga anak nga pinaagi sa salupungan.
The people of Talaingod are now appealing to the government to provide free schools for the youth of the IP community.
Ang panawagan na mo karon nga tagang gid gyapon mig libreng edukasyon sa atong gobyerno. Katong salupungan nga wala mato, katong salupungan nga wala nasirado na sa pagkakaroon, dapat tukuron sa DepEd.
Ang gusto namo nga legal na nga ang pagpamuyo namo dia og inubarat sa among mga bata. Ay kami dili nami gusto nga among mga anak ug sunod sa among mga apupohon nga dili na makasunod sa mga isip mga tumidog diya sa lungsod sa Talaingod. Wagid mi ka eskwela. Kay bisan ako sa tinuod lang, wagid ko ka eskwela bisag preschool lang sa akong pagkatao. So karon mao na akong ginabalik-balik yung hanyo nga manginaot gyud mi nga matuman ang among mga pagpangayo.
Meanwhile, former cadre Ariane Jane Ramos has a challenge for the Marcos administration. If the leftist group could provide schools for the IP community in Talaingod, then there is no reason the government can't do the same thing.
And the reason why we surrendered is because we trust the government that they will really help us, or they will really help yung mga katutubo natin. And very basic po ang education. Kami po bilang mga kadre noon na matagal na nakalubog, naiintindihan po namin ang kultura ng ating mga katutubo. They have this special needs na hindi po siya pwedeng ilagay natin doon sa, i-compare natin doon sa normal na situation ng mga kabataan sa syudad. That's why ang always po nating sinasabi is, kung kaya ng CPP and PNDF na magtayo ng 22 schools sa loob ng Talaingod, bakit hindi kaya ng gobyerno?
Salupungan schools in Talaingod were shut down in 2019 due to supporting the communist terrorist group CPP and PANDF, which taught indigenous community youth to hate the government, join rallies, and some were recruited into armed struggle. For God and beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Hannah Jane Sancho, SMNA News, Davao City.
Indonesian president is in the UAE for a diplomatic visit. The outgoing president is set to end his second and final term as president in October. And this visit is said to be part of his mission to safeguard Indonesia's progress and his legacy. Saudi Arabia extends a multi-million-dollar contract designed to clear landmines in Yemen. Stay tuned for more news. A few days after a failed assassination attempt against him during a rally in Pennsylvania, he has been officially declared as the Republican Party's nominee for the upcoming presidential race and also announced his running mate. Tricia Molina has the report.
See something that said
Donald Trump was seen in public for the first time following an attempt on his life this past weekend. The 78-year-old presidential candidate received a hero's welcome at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee on Monday, where he was seen sporting a thick bandage on his right ear. At the start of the 4-day convention, House Speaker Mike Johnson announced Trump as the Republican Party's official nominee for the 2024 presidential elections.
Let's make it official. Accordingly, the chair announces that President Donald J. Trump, having received a majority of the votes entitled to be cast at the convention, has been selected as the Republican Party nominee for President of the United States.
Johnson also declared Senator James David Vance of Ohio as Trump's official running mate for the much-awaited November elections. Vance, who was once a vocal critic, has now become the former president's close ally.
What a great night! Pursuant to Rule 40D of the rules of the Republican Party, I formally declare President Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance as the Republican nominees for President and Vice President of the United States.
The gunman who opened fire at a Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday was killed by the U.S. Security Service. The shooting spree also killed a former fire chief and left 2 others critically injured. In an exclusive interview, U.S. President Joe Biden admitted it was a mistake to use the word bullseye, a term he used to refer to Trump during a private phone call with donors days before the shooting incident. During the call, Biden was reported saying it's time to put Trump in a bullseye. In defense, he explained his intention to focus on Trump's policies and character. The bullseye saga caused nearly a dozen lawmakers to blame Biden and Democrats at large for the shooting incident on Saturday evening. Reporting, this has been Trisha Molina, SMNI News.
A man who died protecting his family in the attempt against former President Donald Trump has been recognized as a hero in Pennsylvania, USA. Let's hear more about this story with Chris ACQ.
Corey Comparator is the name of a voluntary fire chief in the city of Pennsylvania. Corey threw himself in front of his family using his body as a shield to protect his wife and 2 daughters. According to the police, Comparator lives in Savard, 19 kilometers from Butler, near Pittsburgh. He was an avid supporter of former President Donald Trump and was excited to join the rally. Josh Superior, the governor of Pennsylvania, said Corey died a hero.
That Corey died a hero. That Corey dove on his family to protect them last night at this rally. Corey was the very best of us. May his memory be a blessing.
Aside from Corey, 2 other individuals were critically injured in the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. Meanwhile, the gunman, identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, was shot dead by Secret Service officers assigned to Trump. I'm Chris ACQ, your global citizen correspondent for SMNI News.
Some overseas Philippine workers in Niigata, Japan, gathered together in the Maisug Forum aimed at exposing and spreading awareness of the real situation in the Philippines under the current administration. Let's hear more details from Guy Saito.
Overseas Filipino workers residing in Nagaoka, a city in Japan's Niigata Prefecture, held a forum at Aure City Hall Plaza on July 15th. The initiative was a call for OFWs to be more concerned about the true situation back home under the present administration. Despite their busy schedule, some overseas Filipino workers from the Japanese city of Niigata spared time to attend the Maisug Forum aimed at spreading awareness of what's truly happening in the country. Among those who attended the forum were teachers from PETJ, or Philippine Education of Technology in Japan, engineers and factory workers. The forum was organized by the Maisug Japan chapter to educate fellow Filipinos about transparency, accountability, peace, and security. Some of the speakers who gave their opinions via Zoom were former presidential spokesperson Attorney Harry Roque, former Undersecretary and ELCAC anchor Dr. Rain Badoy, Attorney Annalyn Duguy, Attorney Glenn Chung, and blogger Ms. Maharlika. OFWs also had the opportunity to speak out and freely ask questions to the speakers.
Kami dito sa Japan is minsan lang kaming nagkasama-sama pero marami kaming natutunan, marami kaming nalalaman at nakapag-isip kami kung ano ang magiging ambag namin bilang isang Pilipino na malayo sa ating bansa.
Ang rate ko sa Marcos government from 1 to 10, I will give them 1. Bakit? Dahil sa nakikita ko yung walang pagbabago sa ating bansa. Ang akala natin na siya yung mag-aangat sa ating ekonomiya, bagkus ito pa rin ay wala pa rin pagbabago.
Most of the attendees supported BBM in the 2022 presidential elections with the hope that BBM will continue the political will of Duterte administration. OFWs also expressed their gratitude to SMNI for being a trustworthy news agency and for its contribution for nation building.
Maraming salamat, of course, sa pagbibigay liwanag sa mga pag-iisip ng mga tao dito sa probinsya. Kasi kailangan namin ng edukasyon katulad nito. Okay, maraming salamat sa SMNI, sa Maisog Tokyo, at sa mga speakers na magjo-join sa araw na ito. Maraming salamat.
Una po, gusto ko rin po magpasalamat pala sa SMNI kasi po nagkakaroon po tayo ng ganitong platform na makita at marinig tayo ng mga kababayan natin sa iba't ibang bahagi ng mundo.
In the end, OFWs expressed their satisfaction with the amount of enlightenment they have received during the forum. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Kai Saito, SMNI News.
The President of the United Arab Emirates welcomed the President of Indonesia for a 2-day state visit. Frederico Velloso will tell us more.
Indonesia's outgoing President Jokowi visited the UAE before his stepping down to end his second and final term as president in October. The 2-day visit started on Tuesday. Widodo was expected to meet UAE President His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan to discuss strengthening bilateral ties in various sectors. The Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement signed between the UAE and Indonesia will be part of the agenda. The trade deal was signed in July 2022 and took effect in August 2023. Sheikh Mohammed hailed the trade deal as a new era of increased trade, investment, and economic cooperation between their countries. The agreement is anticipated to boost the value of bilateral non-oil trade from $4.8 billion to more than $10 billion within 5 years of implementation and raise the combined value of trade in services between the two nations to $630 million by 2030. Additionally, more than 80% of UAE exports to Indonesia are exempt from customs duties since it took effect last year. Reporting from Dubai, I'm Gratero Omor, your global citizen correspondent for SMNI News Channel.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the Psalm. Endurance is forged in the fires of adversity. And that's all for this edition. For more news update, you may visit smnichannel.com or follow us in our official social media accounts on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and Country, I'm Frederico Velloso, and this is Newsline World.